You've been refining your morning routine for like 15 years. What's one thing that you've had that has consistently worked? And is there anything that you've completely abandoned along the way? This can go for either of you because I know you both have sort of morning routines for setting things up.
So I don't know if I've had anything that's been in there the entire time other than like brushing and flossing my teeth and getting some hydration right away, drinking like 16 ounces of water early on. I've had a meditation practice for, 25 years now. That's something that is been there most of the time, almost all the time. But, I also, when I was writing my book and on deadline for that, I completely switched up. And then my morning routine was I had one rule: within 15 minutes of my feet touching the floor, I had to have my fingers on the keyboard. And then I would write for 50 minutes and take a 10-minute break and write for 50 minutes and take a 10-minute break. And if I did that, then I've won the day. So that one, there was no meditation, there was no yoga, any of that. That was just diving right into being creative. It's shifted over the years many times in many ways, and it depends where I'm at in my business and my life and what the number one priority is.
Sounds like it always has to serve you in the moment, right? At whatever that morning routine is. And that might shift for people as you go through. It might be for you at the time of writing a book, has to be writing. Is there anything that like people get wrong about morning routines, do you think? Or there's something where you've seen people set out morning routines and you're like, maybe you want to think differently about that?
Right. It's so individual, but I think it's being dogmatic about any piece of it. Like, I have to do this. Jeff says he does this thing, so I'm going to do this thing. And I think you need to periodically look at it and review, is this whole thing working for me or not?
The thing that I see is that people treat it like a hack. Like, I think people often will approach a morning routine and it's like, you hear someone like Jeff talk about his morning routine, and what's he talking about? He's talking about doing the things to put him in the state where he is going to perform his best. I think that is the thing that's really powerful. And that's the thing that people should take from listening to people talk about the morning routines. But I feel like it's almost become a little bit of I don't know, maybe there's like a little bit of a backlash these days, or people are morning routines seem a little like overplayed, or people are like a little sick of hearing about them at times. And like, they were often presented as like a hack, like, do you want to be successful? Well, do these 6 things before you start your day every day. And then people would spend so much time doing those things, which were just what someone found worked for them. And that's great for that person. But then it's almost like they feel like they can't get started and they can't do things until they do this super secret hack thing that's going to set them up right. And then before they know it, maybe they're like, either like they're really behind on their day, or maybe those things don't work that well for them, or maybe it takes a ton of willpower for them to get up at 4 a.m. and go work out and then go do a cold plunge. And so by the time that, their workday starts, they've used up all of their motivation. I think that's an important thing. Like, I just think for the most part, most people, I would say just about everyone that I know or have met, I imagine it's probably pretty universal, is that we have a limited amount of motivation for each day. We have a limited amount of willpower for each day. Sure, you can stretch a little bit and make some crazy stuff happen sometimes, but I think there's also a lot of value in saying like, hey, I've got this much motivation for the day. Like, let's use it on the stuff that really matters, or on the stuff that maybe can help refill that motivation tank for you a little bit. Yeah, it's like that thought of like, okay, we'll find something that serves you, but it's not a hack, and it's never going to be a hack.
Yeah, you have that momentum that you get in the beginning of a day. Like, you can I think there's some value to getting a win early in the day, like getting some momentum on your day. And so to me, when someone says, I got a morning routine where I like, even if it's as simple as say making your bed, like there's a win that you get and you get some momentum on that. Or I take a cold shower or a cold plunge every day. That basically could be, in your mind, winning the game. But if you have like 17 things you've got to do and cross off your list, you're really making it a hard win for yourself in the morning. So then all of a sudden, when you get to the end of that, or if you didn't do it, you're starting off with like this shame of not having got any of this win, which was way too hard to begin with. And then when you get into your day, you're actually struggling to have that motivation because the momentum you initially set up to have, you're just not achieving. You've really made the game hard on yourself.
Yeah, and I think there's so much too to just like knowing what works for you. Like, I'll use myself as an example. I don't really have much of a morning routine, and I've played around with them at times, but at the moment I really don't. And I don't because I am a late night sort of person, much more than an early morning sort of person. And I work with a team, and the team often has, things that they need from me in order for them to do their jobs in order to move forward. And a lot of the people that I work closest with are in a time zone that's 2 hours ahead of me. So if I start work at 8 a.m., then, okay, it's 10 a.m., They've probably already got questions for me. And some of the people I work with, they're not only a couple hours ahead of me, but they're really early people too. So they might start at 6 a.m. their time, which is, 4 a.m. my time. So by the time I'm checking in, it's 10 a.m. for them. They might have a bunch of stuff that they're waiting for, that they need to move forward on their day. Now, if I spend 2 hours on a morning routine, then I'm not getting to anything from them until noon, until like after they're done with lunch. They're sitting around all morning. So I could get up many hours earlier than I normally would, but that doesn't tend to serve me quite so well. But what does serve me well is I tend to work later, and I work into the evening usually. And so I'll tend to kind of set stuff out, and I'll schedule messages to go out in the morning for those people. And I'll, just say like, okay, cool. When I get up, so I don't have to, sit there and think about what am I doing during the day, I can say, okay, here's the top couple most important things that I need to get done in the day. Like, this is what I'm going to focus on right when I get in, right when I start working in the morning. And then here's the other couple things. So I'll get up, just make a quick cup of coffee. Like that, if anything, that's my morning routine. Try not to look at messages until I've had a cup of coffee and just kind of have that little like chill time. And then it's like, okay, answer immediate messages and then go do the most important thing for the day. And then after that, circle back and check in on messages. Something like that, where it's more of an evening routine to set up the next day, tends to work a lot better for me, at least right now. And it's just timing. But if you're somebody who naturally, say, wakes up at 4:30 a lot in the morning, then maybe that works a lot better because you have a lot more time in the morning than you have in the evening.
I think to Dan's point, it's understanding how you work and then creating habits that allow you to get the important work done. I think evening routines are super important. I actually it's not as highly developed as my morning routine, because again, I think mornings, we all have that beginning where we will open our eyes. Whereas in the evening, it's you don't know how you're gonna be sliding into the evening. It's about being intentional about the work environment you create, or not even beyond work, about the environment you create for yourself so you can be as productive and as fulfilled and as happy as possible.
Hey, Launch family, one more thing before you go. If you haven't yet, go to getyoulaunch.com. We have some absolutely free, awesome launch training for you. I think you'll really dig it. And it also is free. So why not go check it out? Go to getyoulaunch.com and we will send you out some really cool stuff. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.